USL Prime League.
Scenario to have happen. We'll see if it can be switched around in this. QXC opening up in what looks like a Reaper expand. We'll get that very nice engineering bay block, which, as we always say, is why not in Legacy of the Void in almost any of the matchups, I guess except for ZVZ. There's just so many things you can do and so many extra just minerals that you can use on that block, especially as Terran. Not even throwing away that much, you can cancel it, not even finish it if you don't want to. UXC does get a very nice scout, just making sure no weird, like, quick 2 gate timings, nothing like that is coming down. There's still the possibility of that next pylon to be out on the map, but he does scout it in the left-hand side of Patience's base. And we'll see when the Zealot comes out, which will be a very nice, okay, cool, you're being defensive, not going aggressive. QXC will get Patience's probe to fall back and probably take his natural base himself, opening up double marine, which is also something I've been seeing a lot more, purely doing the reactor instead of a Reaper fast expand, which what I was saying, what I thought it was going to be, Reaper's still pretty good, but once Adepts come in, they really just nullify them. So generally, we are seeing that more reactor into double marine production to be safe. Maybe get up a bunker. That engineering bay was literally on 25 seconds out of 25 when it went down, or when the SCV pulled away from it. So just the clutchest finish ever with as much health as it could, and will delay that natural base until 2 minutes and 45-ish for Patience here. Generally in PvT Protosses, this is actually when they do take it, because generally we see the Protosses opening up a little bit more aggressive instead of doing that quicker just gate into natural. For now though, it won't be, or at least Patience won't be able to be as aggressive as he wants to be, especially with that natural base delayed. We'll see how he compensates. Back at home, Stargate is just a couple seconds away for Patience. And now, that Adept going into the main, supply depot's up, won't be able to do nothing. Cancels it. There is enough Marines out here for QXC. He can fight one-on-one to the one Adept, but as soon as you get 2, maybe 3 Adepts, these Marines just fall so quickly. Adept, surprisingly enough, goes down. We see this natural, maybe 3rd base for Patience, going down at the gold base, interestingly enough. Pretty unique there. Probably not. Not that the natural was going down, just the probe was so perfectly sitting right there. We'll grab that gold mineral, though, and go for the scout. Now, one thing to point out, which anyone watching StarCraft Reddit knows about, is if you do throw down the pylon first, then a Nexus, it's a 2-second warp-in if the Nexus isn't even done yet, so kind of unique there. See QXC moving into Cyclones himself. We have Magfield reactors coming out, and an Oracle for Patience, or Magfield Accelerator, my bad. Oracle for Patience moving in, though. Cyclone is in the main base, and oh, the SCV of QXC may have spotted that Oracle. Doesn't matter, though, because the Cyclone is locked on. We'll follow that and maybe just pull back from the natural base mineral line for now. QXC shouldn't even need the Marines with that force. Put them down to the natural base, because I think that the Cyclone should be able to deal with it on its own, but you always have to worry about those Warp Prism drops. On the other hand, though, you know your opponent opened up Stargate, so won't have any super quick robos, or at least Warp Prisms to do something. Oracle's going to try to do some more damage into the natural base, but I mean, QXC is so well defended here. Patience does not even try to do anything. Revelation goes down, gets a nice scout, but not much. QXC, no upgrades on the way other than the Cyclone upgrades, nothing 1-1. He's got an engineering bay for the wall, which is a very good idea against Adepts. We'll see, though, because he's looking maybe to move out, but will move out actually straight into Patience. Very nice scout. 2 Adepts will be coming in, and you do a lot more damage when they're warping in than in Heart of the Swarm, and this entire attack is going to be destroyed. Not only the pylon, not only 2 Adepts, but the gateway will go down. Oracle trying to do some damage back at home in QXC's base, but he was all prepared for that. Pulls back, and whether that was a scout looking for a proxy Stargate, or just he moved out in that direction, it has gone perfectly for QXC. Currently, 30 armies apply to the 17 of Patience. Patience taking a quick 3rd base. Does have a lot of sentries up. Blink and +1 coming on the way, but that many sentries, or at least 5 sentries, getting his upgrades for himself and opening up Stargate, he's going to be very gas-starved. Trying to get to gas and his natural to compensate. For now, though, all he's going to have is these sentries to be able to force field off those line of sight blockers. Hopefully they'll be able to get the rock tower down, but those are tickle cannons, and now the Cyclones, there's the beautiful force fields, but the Cyclones will almost get one. Actually, they did get one sentry right there, and the Marines slowly shuffle through. These Marines currently are at 0-0, but +1 attack is on the way. There's no stim, no nothing, so this attack is completely relying off the Cyclones, which very well could do well. There's the Time Warp, but the Time Warps are slower to actually happen, and this Mothership Core will go down. No force fields, no fun and overcharges, my bad, for the natural base, and this third base is at jeopardy. Just a little bit too quick of a third base for Patience here, and like I was saying, in the round of 32, Patience went 0-2 versus QXE, so you do not want to lose this first game. Though it is a best-of-5 series, we'll see one Adept will be focused down. Another Cyclone will get some sentries here. Adept and Sentry will be picked off at the loss to almost nothing for QXE. Even though you have the force fields, the Cyclones have such a long range, especially with magfield reactors or magfield accelerators that is so good. Guardian Shield does go down in an attempt to be able to force field, to do some damage, but really, right now, Patience, he's just trying to focus down some of these Cyclones if he can get it. The Marines are not the big issue here. The Mothership Core finally does finish up again. Blink does finish also with that. Yes, there's photon and overcharges. Yes, there's a nice defense for Patience, but really, all QXE wanted to do is deny that third base, maybe get some damage done, get some scouting, and he did exactly that. Patience will now move out, but against a really well-equipped QXE force. But, oh man, the Stasis Ward, so good. We'll catch 2 Cyclones. That's actually all the Cyclones currently that QXE has. That is huge, and one Cyclone very low on health. It's going to be debatable whether QXE tries to save them here. May be able to get away one, but Patience does have Blink and should be able to get both of them if he's good. There it is, QXE moving in. 2 Medevacs on top of 4 Marauders. Really good and beautiful. Catches both Cyclones. Maybe pull some SCVs to be able to heal one of the Cyclones here. At the moment, Patience does have +1 in Blink, but will just pull back for now, mixing in some Adepts and some more Stalkers, making himself a little bit more potent of a force. Third base, though, is now taken for QXE, and this is a beautiful time for him to take it. Not only has he done damage and kind of staved off the initial attack of Patience, but now fully saturating with SCVs. Patience, he's got to do damage here. He's going to be very far behind. QXE is a nice concave. Cyclones are good, but is there enough Marine Marauder? Is there enough Bio to do anything here? Cyclone's not actually focused down, interestingly enough. One Cyclone does get away with 16 health. Guardian Shield of Patience barely lets him survive. A couple units let survive there. Will pull back, and now QXE has been given a lot of breathing room. Got up a fantastic economy, even a sensor tower in his main base. I love this. Over on the bottom right-hand side for Patience, we'll be getting out the Warp Prism. Adept Shield is almost done, so Patience should move in soon again. But really, the Warp Prism, it's not going to be able to do any damage in the main. It's going to be spotted by that sensor tower. So, if you got to go to the natural or the third base, the army is there. And beautiful, an Observer of Patience actually spots 5 Medevacs of QXE move out, and those Medevacs had nothing in them. Maybe a bait, maybe something else, hoping to confuse Patience here, but Patience will pull back. At the moment, QXE is literally up by 17 Harvesters, which is huge in this position. Same gas amounts, but a lot more minerals for his Bio Force. Oh, one Marauder. Does get sniped right there. So close. Widow Mines are down, though. No Liberators with this play, but a nice amount of Widow Mines. That is 3. We'll be able to get some shot-offs, maybe onto the Adepts, just doing a little bit more splash damage. It's kind of funny now in TvP. Sometimes the Terran player wants the splash damage. Time Warp goes down. Mothership Core will be sniped. Nice force fields. We'll keep in a small amount of this army. We'll be able to pick off one Marauder, but really, that is so huge. No mass recall, nothing like that. A Marine at Patience third will do some damage. It doesn't matter. Big Blink back will not take that much damage from the Widow Mines, but still damage was sustained. QXE is a very nice force, but right now Patience, he's so low on health here. Normally we do see shield upgrades, at least for the main force in Legacy of the Void, but that is not the case. +2 attack for Patience here, while 1/1 stim combat shields for QXE. It's getting back and forth, and I feel like with Patience, Stalkers are great. Really, you can get a lot out of them, get your investment out, and nice little pick off of that Observer. But the Adepts, he's got a lot of them. We'll see how it really kind of goes out. The Adepts, I feel like, are the bulk force, which makes Protoss so good in this situation. Adepts rush forward really quickly. We'll get one Marauder here in the middle of them, but so quickly focused down by so many Widow Mines do the damage, but then QXE has so many Marines right here. Currently in the main force, 21 Marines will just decimate the Stalker forces. Patience and Stalkers do pull back a little bit into line of sight blockers to allow him to have a little bit more time, but GG! Patience loses game 1. QXE really nicely holds, and will take game 1 on Terraform. I liked that from QX. Welcome to Bridgehead. This is game 2, best of 5 series. Player in the right-hand corner, representing the United States of America and Complexity Gaming. It is QXC. And his trusty ally, the blue Protoss player from Korea, and Pixels, it is Patience. On this map, always unique things kind of come out of it. Definitely in Bridgehead when it was first introduced, more in Heart of the Swarm, everyone was kind of back and forth about it, who favored it, who is unfavored, and it's kind of stabilized over time. Definitely not the best for Zerg, even though it was pretty good in the beginning. Kind of goes back and forth to see what happens with that. Patience does get a very into the Terran base, even though there's a nice wall out from QXC. Sees the one gas, and I assume it's going to be a reactor into the natural base, at least a barracks reactor, compensate for your natural with some Marines, especially on this map. Maybe you don't even need extra Marines and can just take it. Definitely quite easy to do because of the walls. Because of the wall. There's the factory going down, and as I was mentioning, does not need to pump out those the Marines of the reactor, but it will not be a natural base. It's going to be a Banshee play, or at least it looks like a Banshee play from Q. Fortunately for Patience, he scouts it. Left-hand side of the map for Patience, natural base goes down, QXE confirms it. Double gas for for Patience, which is not too unusual, but what I'm most curious to see here is whether he's going to go for maybe a quick couple extra gates, or try to get quickly into Robo, although Stargate does work well to take out Banshees in some situations. You can now Revelation on a Banshee and hold it down for a while. Yet on the other hand, not always the best idea. We'll see what Patience's kind of way he attacks this, or at least actually defends this. Thankfully enough, Mothership cores do have a lot of photon overcharges, so as long as you have a little bit of vision for Protoss players, you should be able to deal with it. Still always curious. Right-hand side of the map for QXC. He's still, both players still kind of getting the scouts off. Yes, Patience's probe was killed, but for now the SCV of QXC just even getting more scouting off, and honestly sees, interesting, you're playing standard for Bridgehead, but really what he's here to check out is how much pressure were you going to put on early game, whether I can hold, but no matter what, you can really hold easily on 2 base. And the SCV, will that SCV scout that Robo? No, I think the SCV died right there, but at least it should die because the Adept's out. Whatever. Robo Bay will be the choice of Patience, which I think is completely fine and fantastic. Very safe, very good. Back at home for QXC, interestingly enough, he did cancel that refinery after it was scouted, which is beautiful. Just saying, you know what, you know I'm probably going to go for that Banshee drop, and now his opponent is going to be on 1 gate, which is Patience, adding on a 2nd gate with that Robo. This is going to be a dicey defense. There's the medevac going out, 2 Widow Mines, 4 Marines, but beautiful. The Adept scouts it. Patience will see it. Adept's going to go for some harassment if it can do it. Not many Marines at home for QXC. It's more important, though, for Patience to see if he can defend this. Maybe he'll need the Adept at home. We'll see. For Patience, his natural base only has 1 pylon in it. There is some other pylons, but that is how he defends this. Trying to do something with there. More gates coming down for Patience. Realizes the beautiful mind game from QXC. QXC's ready for this. Cyclone back at home being made for QXC to defend, but that doesn't matter because he is on the aggression. Widow Mines, only 1 goes down. I love that. It's beautiful. Just saying, you know what? You know this is coming. I'm going to be very careful, and more of just you pulled out. I don't want to kill useless probes when I can get something else. More pylons did go down, so foot and overcharges are there, and Robo is successfully finished with that Observer. Back at home for QXC. Natural base is down, income now skyrocketing. The Adept still being annoying at his ramp, but the Cyclone pretty much remedies that. Now, Cyclone does have 160 health, and because of that, only takes, I think, 8 or 9, how many damage? 10 damage from the weapons of the Adept, so Cyclone's so good versus them. But the drop in the main, sorry about that, the drop in the main, Widow Mines are down. Still, again, on burrowing, being very careful. He's waiting for the really nice hits on the probes, but even the Adepts themselves have to be careful about engaging into the Widow Mines. Oh, both will be saved and get on out of there. 6 workers QXC is killed. Not too many, but he's really keeping Patience at home here. Twilight Council on Forge, you can see, is down. There's the Widow Mines, there's the Marines, and just picking off anything you can anywhere. And oh, actually, it does a little bit of damage on the Adepts, but dang, 2 Marines cannot do anything versus the Medevac. Medevac should hightail it on out of there, but back at home, there was the Warp Prism, or back at home for QXC, there was the Adept drop. And that's actually going to start wreaking havoc here. Beautiful Warp Prism play into that. Robo, of course, you got to be wary about your opponent not opening Stargate, not opening some sort of blink play. Easily can have a very quick Warp Prism. And now with this amount of Adepts, it's going to be all up to the Cyclones to do damage. And sadly, they pulled back to defend that Shade. It's all about how you react to the Shades if they're going to commit to it. But as Protoss, you always have the decision to commit or not to commit. And now this is where they really want to commit to it to get straight on top of these Cyclones, because that is what they're worried about. Focuses down one Cyclone and kind of won't really get it for now. So there is a little bit of a cooldown on the Cyclone Warp-In, so after it finishes killing something, you don't need to worry about it for a couple seconds. The SCVs will be pulled, trying to fight these depths, but so far they have killed 10 workers. Not a ton back at home QXC, or back at Patience's base. QXC did kill 9, but still 3 Adepts in this base, and they can kill the Marines by themselves. Cyclone will be able to kill off one of them, maybe. It doesn't matter because the Adepts actually go back into the main. Still, as I was saying, the Cyclone maybe can get 1, but then you have just only a couple seconds, 4 to 5 seconds, where they can't keep locking on, so it's not a continuous anti-Adept build right there. Eventually, it will be stopped. That wasn't that many Adepts, and not only that, I think the Warp Prism did get out of there. At least one was requeued at home. 15 workers killed, kind of evening up the score, especially you want to do that versus Mules, so evenish income for now. Patience is ahead about 9 workers, not too much though, and now we're seeing another drop coming in. Well, actually, QXC is moving out, and those are where his Cyclones are. There is no Cyclones at home for QXC, and that is how you defend these drops, at least easily. Patience, though, deciding to get rid of the rocks. QXC can not quite see, actually he can't see it. He does see the rocks by the third base CC going down, but QXC moving across the map into the third base of Patience, which there is nothing at home relatively for situation where both players opening themselves up for attack by moving out, but I think this is going to go much better for QXC because Patience is not moving in with his Warp Prism. Finally, he will move in his Warp Prism, but QXC will be focusing down that natural or third base. It will go down, but now more at home. I think QXC has to be more worried. Patience here, so many Adepts currently out. That is 10 Adepts, and they will be doing havoc wherever they can do that. One Medevac will go down maybe, but the Adepts really, they want to focus on workers, which is exactly what QXC is doing back at home, trying to get whatever he can, staying out of those pylons. Probes were expertly pulled back, staying out of the pylon range. Probes were expertly probed back, but now going for the cybernetics core, maybe a couple probe kills on the side, and both players have inflicted massive amount of damage, at least economically, to each other. Taking out the pylon beautifully, will cancel one of those gates. There's still 5-6 gates working for Patience, and the Adepts are so good to defend. It's all, again, that Cyclone defense. Back at QXC's base, though, Patience, I mean, one by one, yes, Marauders are coming out, yes, units are coming out, but they're just being slaughtered. Both players have been thrown down to around the 20 worker mark, and now this is a scary base trade. I think the Protoss will just barely win this with Medevacs, with Adepts doing so well versus Bio, but it's going back and forth here. Finally, I think QXC on the left-hand side of the map will be cleaned up, and there's the GG! QXC. Welcome to Game 3 of this quarterfinals series. Here we are on Orbital Shipyard, bottom left-hand corner. Blue Protoss player from Dead Pixels. It is Patience. Last game, he was able to even it up versus his opponent in the top right, who 2-0'd him in the round of 32. From Complexity Gaming, the Purple Terran, QXC. Round of 32, Patience did get 2-0'd, but he decided to race switch to Zerg. It's like, Zerg OP, don't need to inject. Oh crap, maybe I should have thought about this. Either way, though, probably both of these players would have made it out of that group anyways, even if he would have gone Protoss. Well, we'll see, though. We'll see. Orbital Shipyard, always an interesting map to see what players do. So many cool things in it. It's just a very unique pocket base compared to any other map in the map pool. QXC in the top right, I think will be opening up just relatively how he has in the previous games. There's the reactor, just a more safer. Bridgehead, you can do the 1-1-1. You can easily deny scouting. Not so much on this map. But we do see the SCV, very early SCV from QXC in the bottom left to do some scouting. Doesn't see a quick 2-gate, nothing of the sort. Just gate cyber into the natural. Quick natural, though, generally, as Protoss players, I mean, you get your natural in PvT around 2 minutes 40 to 3 minutes. A little bit more like you get a sentry out of Mothership Core, maybe throw down a second gate. Orbital Shipyard, although, does have the easy pocket natural. Why not? I can Sentry force field off, even Photon Overcharge off that natural ramp for a very long time. Mothership Core is on the way. Double gas taken by Patience. Overall, looking like a very standard opener, except for the slightly earlier Nexus, which is just kind of okay, cool. We accept you do that on this map. Back at QXC's base in the top right, he does open up 3 racks. Not only is it 3 racks, though, but he's got a reactor. I assume he will throw on a tech lab for some Marauders against Adepts and stim combat shields for that timing, but basically, he's saying, you know what? I'm not going to utilize a pocket base to go into a macro game. Maybe he will, though, with the quick natural. It's just a build. I think, on the other hand, in his mind, what he's saying is, I can utilize this to just do a fantastic 2-base play. There's the Tech Lab for QXC. Maybe throw on a Reactor Tech Lab on the 3rd. Very expensive play, but you can make all this work for himself off of 2 bases. With essentially like a 1-minute 50 throwdown, 1-minute 40 throwdown of the natural bases. For both players, QXC a little bit quicker. This will be a phenomenal move. Although, on the other hand, I have seen this a lot just as a compensation versus Adept pushes, but QXC did get that scout, so I doubt that will be the case. Patience, though, does have an Adept right outside the main base of QXC, just kind of hanging about, making sure there's no move-outs. There's Stim coming down pretty darn early. We generally see it about the 5-minute mark, and that's because this is a 3 racks. It's going to be an interesting push. Stim will finish up around the 5-minute mark here. Normally it started there, so this could be an interesting push just to see how it actually all times out and everything. Whether QXC will get Metavax or whatever. Engineering Bay comes down, presumably +1, or 4 missile turrets against drops. QXC's prepared for those drops. Well, back in the bottom left-hand corner for Patience, he's also preparing for those drops. Warp Prism coming out, 3 gates. He's got 2 Adepts out, which can hold pretty darn well for a long time, and the Mothership Core back at home. Warp Prism moves out as Patience maybe looks to take a 3rd. Definitely, and in game 2, which is Bridgehead, I think he was pretty greedy by taking as quick as a 3rd he did off the back of the Warp Prism harass, but it did work out well for him. We'll see in this game, which is game 3, how it pans out. Guys, currently it is 1-1. Only 1 Adept in the Warp Prism and Patience so far. Still, though, that could multiply incredibly easy. 4 gates out for Patience. Marines, though, are ready for QXC, and actually moves them out just as the Warp Prism will be coming in with some Adepts, but there is 2 missile turrets in that natural base of QXC. Blink off the back of this is coming in. Patience by no means to end it right here. Certainly, though, why not do some early economical damage? A little bit like a Widowmine drop, and the missile turret goes off. 2 missile turrets, and ooh, Patience is forced to pull back, and there's enough Marines for QXC. He doesn't even need to kind of divvy them up between his main and natural. He's like, nope, I know you can't do crap against that. And I guess for now, this is really going to be Patience's thing to contain his opponent. Adepts are there to try that. QXC going for his factory, and like I was mentioning, this was more of just a compensation for the quick natural base. Yes, you could do like a 1-1-1-ish build off the back of that, but the Warp Prism! He believes really well, he believes in his micro, but the issue with going into quick factory is, or going for a 1-1-1 build off 2 bases, yes, that is great and all, but just the time delayed, the pure build time is a little bit too much. You do need to compensate with Marines, and now QXC has beautifully compensated 31 Marines at the 5-minute 40 mark. You do a fantastic push, but man, Adepts, they just kind of straight up counter this. 3rd base coming down for QXC in his main. Starport also, and looks like he'll just be doing a nice play out of this into the macro build. But Patience moving out. Blink is there. 2 Stalkers, 4 Sentries, and back at home. Patience did take a very early 3rd base, as I was mentioning, and is up by only 8 workers. Not too much income, but he will have that extra gas. That 6 base the 6 assimilator. 6 base, dang, that is an incredibly macro game. The 6 assimilator income, though, will help him a lot. Observer was killed right there, I think, by QXC. Patience getting ready for his move-in. Now, 4 Adepts, a decent amount of Stalkers, and you can get the contain, but it's hard to move up this ramp without air units. We'll see how Patience goes about it. Patience still has another, I think it was the first observer, but missile turret will be going in for QXC right outside his main. QXC, though, will go for the move out. Is it spotted? Oh, the army spots it, and they do have Blink. Oh, will pick off 1 with a full 8 Marines, and now the defense bunker. There are no SCVs to heal this bunker. Bunker goes down. There are so many Marines right here, though. They do have +1 and stim in combat shield. This is a Observer goes down on the high ground. There is the Warp Prism, though, for Blinks up. No Mothership Core, nothing like that to teleport out, but I don't think that'll be what Patience wants to do. 2nd Warp Prism is on there. Shield upgrades are here, and man, The bunker is needed to defend this. The Adepts themselves, not themselves, but can do a decent amount versus these Marines, this Bio Army. Nice stim, but the force fields only allow 4 or 5 Marines to be able to do damage, and 2 supply depots. Bunker goes down, and this is looking a little bit dicey for QXC. This is a 3-base Protoss with actually really good force fields versus a 2-base. I would have liked to see Patience move up while he had the force fields a little bit of area, but doesn't matter. Adepts hitting the natural base will just start going for the refinery, maybe to pull the army back, and they pull the entire army back. That is huge. Literally, the entire army is being pulled back. They're not even trying to defend the natural, or at least, sorry, defend the main right here. And Patience is going to have a little bit of time to pick off tech labs, tech or reactors, whatever tech structures he chooses to. Patience playing this out so well, and his force field is so good, he could actually cut this entire army in half. Only 2 Marauders, 3 Marauders, and a couple of Marines being able to attack. Patience might as well focus them down, but with the barracks going down, it does allow QXC to get a little bit of a surround, but it does not matter. There is so many Terran Protoss forces here, and they have Adepts, and the Adepts before were not fighting. That was a pure Stalker attack and Sentry. Now that the Adepts are with the composition with this low of a force, it's getting dicey for QXC. He needs the Widow Mines, and he needs his +1 armor to come in to be able to do something versus these Adepts. Something, but still Adepts will 2-shot his Marines, or maybe, no, I think it's a 2-shot even with +1 armor. But, oh, it's all, does he move into the Widow Mines? Oh, does blink out of the way. Friendly fire onto that one Marauder right there, and there's nothing here for QXC. I think Patience takes this game, moving right on top of the army. Doesn't even care about GG is called. Patience takes game 3. The Dash and Terminal. The blue Protoss player, the right-hand side of the map, up 2-1. It is Patience. And his opponent, from the US of A, the purple Terran player, vying for his spot in the round of 4. Possibly this could be it for him. It is QXC. As I mentioned, he loses this game. Patience would go 3-1 versus QXC, and Patience would move on, securing himself $100. QXC only $50. We'll see, though, if he can do something. QXC looking like he's going to open with that 1 gas into Barracks. But even though we've seen so many just easy reactor, double Marine, playing it safe, what's scary is it's just got the possibility to spiral into Reapers, to spiral into anything else. There's so many things you can do. There's the reactor coming down. It's just, it plays out very nicely into the economic way, which it looks like where QXC will take it. It also has the other options, which is why it's kind of scary to scout as Protoss, but does scout the natural. Patience sees everything and says, cool, I should be good. SCB pulled to kill the probe. Patience base on the right-hand side. Mothership Core, not coming out yet. Mothership Core should start up relatively soon. There it is. Very nice, well-timed out build by Patience. We'll get the Adept, Gateway, and Mothership Core about the same time. Meaning, he has 175 gas when it finishes. So I do like the 2 gas openings. Even though you can do scary openings off of just 1 base and 1 gas, it's still a very nicely well-timed out Korean opening. But guys, in QXC's main base, that Mothership Core will start off with 50 energy more by the time it gets to the other side, because they're the quick 3 pylons. And beforehand, I was actually thinking about this, looking through this, and I was just saying, there's nothing cheeky QXC can do because of the Mothership Core scouts, which is going to be there in less than 10 seconds. Mothership Core almost there. 2 Marines will be fighting it. SCV's being pulled, but the SCV's not quite being Michaeled enough, and there will be 3 possible photon overcharges. There's the 3 bunker was going down. A bunker blows up out of proportion to the natural base. There is the pylon. The SCVs got to go down to the natural base. Mothership Core does not have another photon overcharge ready, so I think the best method would be to do that. But for now, we do see the natural base, the main base will survive. Does take a lot of damage on the refinery, does cancel some mining time, but we see the Adept push in the natural going to be coming off the back of this Stargate, coming from the back of this off of Patience, and we'll see how much damage he really got done. This is now when the damage is going to occur. We'll get pick up a couple more kills here. Patience so far has only killed 7, but more so, he has denied the working time, so much working time, and may just go into a natural base off the back of this. Not looking like it, though. More Adepts coming out. Stargate probably going to go in the Oracle. Just going to go the ultimate kill your workers build. And there's only 2 Marines here. Realistically, the Mothership Core, it's kind of getting in a dicey position. But when the Adepts come in, they can just deal with the Marines. Nothing they can do. So close right now. Adept does come in. The Mothership Core does go down. More SCVs being killed. But I think this is almost it, guys. GG! Patience goes 3-1 versus QXC.
Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to support the ASL by hitting the button now.